and welcome to the Fatman's Guide to the Real World. Today, we're going to take a guided hike through the middle loop of the Oil Creek State Forest in northwestern Pennsylvania. For those of you who have never been there before, the Oil Creek area flourished in the 1850s due to the oil industry. And over the next 30 years, this valley became the center of the world's oil production.
Here we are on Miller Road.
Today, we're going to start on the Miller Family Road, which is an old dirt road leading down into the park. There's a pole off on the right-hand side right before the bridge. And we're going to start here. We're going to start out by climbing on the East Ridge heading south. First, you're going to climb up the first major set of hills. And once you get to the top, you have a nice area through the coniferous forest that is eventually going to lead to a series of nice waterfalls. The biggest of these being the Plum Dungeon Falls. Now, as you head on this area, you're going to end up going down the Ida Tarbell's Wrath Hill, which is going to take you down to the old Oil Creek Railroad. You're going to follow this railroad for a little while, eventually working your way back up onto the next series of ridges. After climbing to the Cattle Ridge line, you're going to hike into the Cow Shelters, which is an area that you are able to rent shelters for one evening or a couple days. You have to hike down in, but it's a beautiful view and it's a nice series of shelters. You'll be able to reserve those for any time that you'd like to be able to stay over. After hiking around Bull Run, you're going to find many old examples of the oil industry, from the many barrels that are sitting out in the woods. Eventually, you're going to come to an area where you're going to see a series of foundations where oil production was heavy. Now again, you're going to continue through the coniferous forest on the top of this ridgeline, and you're going to be able to have a series of really nice views down into the Creek Valley. Eventually, one of the views you're going to have is going to be an overlook of the valley down towards the Benninghoff Farm, which is one of the top oil producers in the area. After hiking down Heisman Trophy Hill, you're going to come down to the park offices in Petroleum Center. At the offices, there's a series of things that you'll be able to view as far as old oil barrels, and they also have some other cool artifacts. You can get trail maps down there. When you're done at the park offices, you'll be able to now head across Oil Creek, utilizing an old steel bridge, to when you're going to actually get to the Petroleum Center ghost town. When you get there, you're going to see a whole series of wooden sidewalks. And on these wooden sidewalks, they actually have some cool plaques that are going to show you the different buildings in town and some of the people who lived in the area. Also, at the end of the town, you're going to see a still preserved train station which is well taken care of. And again, some really cool examples of the way life used to be when this was an oil boom town. Eventually, you're going to walk down an old dirt road, and you're going to meet back up with the trail. Now we're going to be heading north on the western ridge of the park. As soon as you go into the woods, you're going to very quickly see examples of the old pumping processes. After walking through the low marshy areas, you're going to climb up to the Benninghoff farm, which, as I said earlier, was one of the biggest oil producers in the valley and went from being just a normal farm to selling off massive chunks of land to multiple individuals to be able to produce oil. Climbing to the top of the western ridge, you're going to see a lot of cool views of the valley, and again, more evidence of the old oil production process. Eventually, while hiking, you're going to end up at the Pioneer Falls, which is tremendously impressive. One of the nicest sets of falls in the park. And as you walk through this area, continuing up the ridge, you're going to have a lot more cool overlooks. And eventually, you're going to have a really cool rock formation that you're going to have to hike through. On the western ridge, unlike the eastern ridge, which is mostly coniferous forest, on this side, you're going to have more of the deciduous forest. So a lot of the views are going to be a little bit clearer just because at this time of year when I did the video, there wasn't that many leaves. Eventually, you're going to get to one of the highest points in the park, and you're going to hike down Switchback Mountain, which seriously, honestly, must have had at least 15 to 20 switchbacks. It took forever. Once at the bottom of Switchback Mountain, you're going to pick up with a picnic area. Of course, you're going to take a quick walk on a bike trail, eventually meet back up with the Miller family dirt road again. And you're going to finish up the hike by crossing the Oil Creek River again. You're going to take a short walk up the road back to the trailhead, and you'll be finished, like I said, in about 17 miles. My view of the park, having never been there before, I think this is an absolutely gorgeous park. I can't believe I've never been there. Again, it has some really nice hiking. The trail is well taken care of. There are some difficult parts due to some of the climbs down into the valleys, and there is a lot of rocks and boulders in particular parts of the park. But all in all, this park is unbelievably easy to get to. It's very, very pleasant when you walk through. There's a lot of great views. And again, if you're a fan of history, it's a great historical park. There are so many things to see that are just left out into the woods from the days when, again, oil was king in this valley. Well, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for going on the hike. And again, as I've asked before, if you haven't liked, please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. If there's anything else that you would think that you might like me to cover, or maybe to be able to do in the realm of hiking or anything else, please leave a comment in the comment section. And again, folks, thank you for being here. And remember, get out there and enjoy life without excuses. See you.